This meeting is being recorded, and I would like to call the meeting of the Recreation and Parks Committee to order. And I am going to share the screen with the agenda. And let me know when you can see this.
We can see it.
Okay, so having called the meeting to order, I'd like to ask you to pay attention, direct your attention, that's the phrase I'm looking for, to item number 1, determination to continue to hold meetings virtually. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, with guidance from the LA City Attorney, have established that the board has the authority to adopt AB 361 findings that on behalf of the city's neighborhood councils, and that allows us to continue to meet virtually since they have determined that due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health or safety of attendees. Number 2 on the agenda is welcome and call to order, introductions, and then the approval of the agenda. So welcome, I've called it to order. My name is Laura Myers. I am a longtime member of the UNNC board. I live in Angeles Vista, which would be Region 1. I'm an at-large representative, and I am the current president of UNNC, and for tonight, I am chairing this meeting. If others can introduce themselves, starting with Teresa.
Hi, everybody. My name is Teresa Masonette. I'm also a member of the UNNC, and I represent the West Adams Avenues.
And Teresa, since I've got this up, I can no longer see who's at the meeting. If you could call on people to introduce themselves, please.
Okay. Arian, would you like to go next?
Unless, of course, she's on the way to her car.
Yeah.
Hi, no, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm Arian Sanchez. I'm over at the South Seas house. And so anything pertaining to South Seas, the Isidore house, and Benny Potter Park, which is so South Seas on the corner of 24th Street in Arlington, along with Isidore, which is right next door, and Benny Potter Park is kind of in the middle of between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, near 25th Street, I believe. Yeah, 25th Street. So I try to answer questions and then take suggestions and requests about things that has to be done at this particular city park.
Okay, thank you.
Chinery, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Hi, Shinnery.
Shinnery. Oh, I was close.
Yes.
Shinnery,
Yeah, so
thank you.
Hi, Shinnery Stonehill, Principal Recreation Supervisor for the Metro Region. And I'm here because Donna invited me.
Thank you.
Denise?
Yes, good evening. This is Denise Jackson, and I am I'm resident of Arlington Heights.
Judy?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Judy, and I'm also a resident here in Arlington Heights.
And Donna Jones?
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm from the Avenues, West Adams Avenues, and acting chairperson. Nice to see everybody.
Thank you. So
I'd like to make the motion to accept the agenda, approve the agenda.
is there a second? I should point out that all participants in the meeting are considered members of the committee for this evening, and anyone may make a motion for a second and may vote.
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Teresa, seconded by Donna Jones. All in favor of the approval of the agenda, say aye or raise your virtual or real hands. So, and again, of course, I can see nothing, Teresa, but does it look like?
Right. I have 4 hands so
Okay.
far. Yes, 5.
Okay, so, yes, so the agenda is approved. So basically, we have a few minutes for public comments on general public comments, remarks about anything not on the agenda tonight. And then we'll have an update, little discussion about the Washington Irving Library Pocket Park and updates from Recreation and Parks Department. I put on the agenda, but staff, and if there's any old business to follow up. I'm going to stop the share. And Teresa, I'm also going to make you a co-host because I just got that little, your internet is unstable notice.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so are there any public comments, general public comments on any item not on tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none. Okay, then what I'd like to do is move on to the Washington Irving Library Pocket Park update. And so this project was presented both, I think, to Denise, can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think to the Arlington Heights Neighborhood Association and separately to UNNC's Recreation and Parks Committee, and on our date was October 12th, 2020. At the time, the construction was anticipated to commence soon thereafter and take just 8 weeks. Obviously, lots of things have happened with the pandemic. So it's taken much longer. It's now nearing completion, but it appears that the design that had been presented in 2020 was altered. I do have a couple of current photos and the original photos. So if that's okay with everybody, I will just share them one at a time. So the first thing I want to share would be the original. And again, let me know if you can see that. Okay,
Yes, we
so
can see it.
yeah, this is the image that was shared with the community back in 2020. And to orient you, well, actually, maybe Denise, you're going to have to chime in. Are the books, the portion of the fence that look like books, are they facing the library or facing easterly?
Yeah, they're along the west of the fence facing inward
library.
into the park.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
that's Truffle Brothers. I believe that's Truffle Brothers on the other side of the trees.
which would make them
No.
east,
No.
facing east.
Oh, okay, hold on. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, the gate with the books is facing the library. It's
Okay.
near the parking lot of the library.
Got it.
It's between the parking lot of the library. So the trees are over more so by the church.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not oriented at all. But in any case, this is what we all saw, you know, 2 different community meetings, at least 2 different community meetings, and it was well accepted. So I'm gonna now share a couple of photos. So these were taken today. And so what we see is not that fence, is kind of the core thing. Oh, I'm sorry, let's see if I can. So this is going down 12th Avenue. So this is the fence. And you can see it's even sort of oddly indented on purpose, but it's not even a straight. Oddly enough, it's almost easy to put your foot there and jump up and over, which was the only reason I took that photo.
Interesting.
And then, so this is not, obviously, I am not in taking these photos. I was not inside, so it's not a perfect visualization, but I think you can see that the fence is not at all what was in the original, and it's hard to tell. I think it's aligned on the inside with the design, but it may not be exact. Is there any reason for me to keep this image or any of these 4 images up?
No, really.
Okay. I'm going to stop the share. So there were a few emails circulated. This was brought to our attention by an Arlington Heights stakeholder, and there's been emails that have kind of now gone, not back and forth, but a bit of a thread where the council office indicated that as well, this was not what they had approved. And so it looks like there will be some conversations, but what we learned, and I think Denise can probably weigh in a little more here, but what we learned in the email chain is that it got too expensive, so they quote value engineered the project and removed that original fence that was on the approved design. So Denise, I don't know if you had any further conversations separate from that larger chain.
No, that was my first email, and I copied, of course, you and other UNNC members on it. And what we have in the chain going back and forth, the email chain is where we currently stand with Parks and Recs, indicating that they were going to, I think the last email was that they were going to erect the fence in the design.
Yeah, well, or at least give the actual price to the council office tomorrow and of the
Right.
one, the original. So what concerned me as a person who sits around and works so hard on behalf of the community and we get presented things and then things change. In this case, it's clear the money became an issue, but they didn't tell us because
Right.
the funds came from the
Foundation.
support group, the foundation that supports the parks. So obviously an option would have been to go back to the foundation, even if it meant the community had to pull together a GoFundMe type thing to get more money into the hands of the foundation to in turn for the project, but nobody knew. And also it was and may be possible for the council office to spend some discretionary funds. So I think my concern was, why didn't you tell anybody and let everybody help explore funding for it?
Yeah, that was my concern as well, Laura. Not only that it wasn't the fence that was designed, but that they went forward with any old fence without contacting anyone, as if we were just supposed to accept whatever they put up. And so that's why I brought up the matter. If they're able to get the fence that was designed, that will be wonderful. If not, then perhaps we can talk about it's still getting a more attractive fence than what they've ended up with.
Right. And there was a mention in one of the emails that they would paint the fence, the bright colors, but
Yes, they did suggest that, and the council office came back and said, well, we want to know why you didn't put the fence up that we approved, and we want to talk about that first. So maybe that's still an option on the table once they come back with the quote for getting the fence that we have,
right.
that we expected.
Yeah, because I think my concern is, and then I think others should weigh in on this. My concern is when you paint a fence that has baked on enamel fencing, I'm not sure the new paint doesn't have to be repainted year after year after year. Yeah, this black is embedded in the fence and probably would last, many years, as would the original if it comes in enamel baked red or yellow or whatever. I'm not an expert at that. Anyway, does anybody else have any comments, questions? And then I will ask, oh gosh, I'm not going to pronounce your name right, but I'll ask
Shinnery.
Oh, Shinnery? Yes.
to respond after I see some hands are up first. Teresa, then Donna.
Thank you, Laura. I would like to know how the ball got dropped. If this is a recreation and park project, who was the contact person that we could have, UNNC or either CD10 could have followed up with to make sure that the project happened the way it was supposed to? So we have a project, it gets approved, and then there's no follow-up from the UNNC, there's no follow-up from CD10. Could we not have, and this is also for future projects, have a contact person say, oh, I'm going to be the person, I'm the chairperson of Parks and Recs, and I want Recs and Parks, and I'm going to follow up on this. If there are any problems with this project, you need to come back to us. You need to let us know. I mean, should that not be the process for that?
Who you
I've been
asking?
back and forth. Can I just jump in? Well, I've been back and forth for the last year with Danielle, who is our deputy, about the fence, the scheduling of the fence, the completion of the fence, the delay of the fence. So if anyone was our point of contact, it was her. She was very much aware of my viewing the project and working with her to get the project completed and on schedule. So I'll just say Danielle, I can't think of her last name right now.
Miro.
Maybe you know, Laura. Yeah, was the point of contact that I worked with throughout the process.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Donna, your hand is up.
Well, I can only call upon my experience with the committee that dealt with Benny Potter and the project, the Shane's Inspiration or whatever, the playground,
Mhm.
everything that was involved there. We had a committee. We had the people who were doing the design. We had contact back and forth. It wasn't CD10, but it was the people who were in charge of building and doing that particular project. They've been at that a long time. And as I said, we always had contact with the people who the design was presented, and we were able to get back and forth with the people who were doing the design and completing it. So I'm a little surprised that there was an ongoing conversation back and forth. And I can only go on the experience that we had with the park here.
But Donna, do you think it was in part because there was always somebody at South Sea's house? I mean, there was a department staffer working. through
Not
that
at
whole
all,
time.
not at all.
Not
There
at all?
was a committee
Okay.
and we sat down, we went through, looked at designs, came up with, worked with the whole thing. And it was, a start to finish type thing, decisions on what would be underneath the extra equipment, what would go in the annex, what would go under the playground equipment on the main park. Well, how and what colors were going to be used on the bathroom, all that.
Mhm.
We voted just like you guys apparently came up with an idea and an agreement. And then there was a follow-up. We had the people, there were names that we were able to reach out to. And I think there's a design person for every one project that they take on. So it's, like I said, I can only go by that. I've never done it before, but we were called in. We had a group of people who were involved. And Laura, you may not have been one of them, but even the colors of everything.
Right. No,
Were
I was
decided.
involved. I was involved in the inspiration stage of Shane's Inspiration, if I'm saying that right, but not in the implementation stage with the committee as you're describing it.
And the sales, all the sales above the
Mhm.
equipment, everything, we had input. And there was a small committee, it wasn't a huge one. And we met early on, we did some
Mhm.
decision making, and then it was going, ongoing, and you had someone to talk to. So it surprises me that they were working independent of a contact within the community. Apparently, while they've been deciding or doing or moving forward, I mean, there's so many pots of money that could have been tapped.
Mhm.
You should basically ask them to take it down.
So Denise, do you think that is what's being asked at this point?
Yeah, the last email from Kamani that I saw, he basically said we need to figure out how to get the fence that was designed. And I think that's where it was left. And Paul Rax, who is our contact in Parks and Recs, is off doing that by providing this this quote that you speak of. In regard to what Donna is saying, this was presented to us by CD8. I'm sorry, CD10 by CD10.
Thank you, CDA.
by
I
CD
think that's a good, why not?
by CD10. And, you know, in the middle of it all, not only did COVID happen, I hate to blame everything on that, but that happened as well as the council office changed. Of course, Wesson went out and really Thomas came in, and it was a whole new group looking at it. And that's when I started, you know, sending all of the emails to that staff just to make sure that it didn't get overlooked. But no, there was no citizen committee that was on it. It was CD10. And as far as I know, they were the ones who were to keep their eyes on it. And they did respond quickly when I sent the email about it not being the right, correctly designed fence. I think you're right, Donna. We should just point blank ask them to take it down. CD10 has discretionary funds that they can use as well for the community. And if it comes down to that, maybe perhaps we can ask them to use some of those funds for that.
Well, there's also, there must be Quimby funds that should be made available as well.
I'm sure there are Quimby funds. There's funding around. There are so many sites
Right.
above, you know, not in our community, but around. We shouldn't, you waited too long, Denise. You
Oh.
waited too long. And no way should
Hmm.
anything go forward that the community is not satisfied with. Nothing.
I'm not sure what you mean by I waited too long. As soon as I saw the fence, I reported
Right.
it.
No, they waited too long to even move forward on doing something. It's
Yes.
happening, and they worked a very long time. They could have built a large part of Griffith Park as long as they worked over there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
So there's no reason to accept anything less than what you want.
Okay, so my question, you know, I have, you know, if staff has anything to say, that'd be great. This is not the staff that was involved with this park, but
This is Shinnery. I can't speak on behalf of our planning and construction branch. I mean, actually someone from that office should be here in this, you know, attending this
Right.
meeting, because I don't have any information on this project to report.
okay. So what I would,
Yeah.
and I understand why they're not here, because this is sort of happening very fast. But one reason I did want to have this, you know, have the standing meeting tonight, even though unfortunately our chair is ill, because we were considering, you know, canceling the meeting and just waiting a month. But I wanted to preserve the ability for us to make a recommendation to the governing board if by February 3rd this is not resolved, for us to be able to take an action of writing a letter to whoever. And what Donna just said, but of course I didn't write it down, but you know, essentially, so sorry, but we should be getting the projects that were presented, and we should be recommending, in my opinion, identifying additional funds, be they Council District 10 discretionary funds, Quimby funds, the foundation may have more money. I mean, in other words, I don't even know what the shortfall is, but I wanted to have, if possible, a motion come out of this committee to go to governing board if we still need to do something by February 3rd, if I'm saying that right. I mean,
And
this
I
may be
kind of like to
resolved by
know
then.
who made that decision. Who made the decision to change the design?
You know, it's not very clear. The person who's taking the heat did indicate that he was on leave when the decision to value engineer it happened. So he hasn't told us who then did make the decision, just kind of implied that he didn't make the decision.
Right.
So yeah, and I want to say I doubt very much that the UNNC governing board would be sending a letter saying so-and-so Tom Smith is a bad person, I'm making up a name, because he or Jane Doe, she made a decision, blah, blah, blah. I think we'd be kind of proactively saying, we want to identify funding sources to build the fence that was promised. I mean, get that our goal would be to have the fence per the original design and identified funding if that remains a problem.
I agree.
So,
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we do just as Laura suggested.
okay, I'm writing something in chat.
Okay. That way we have an option if by chance Denise and Kamani are unable to work it out to get the correct fence, that we support additional funding from CD10 or Rexham Park to put in the fence that was originally designed, or presented and approved by the community.
Okay.
You know, something like that.
I'm a slower typer than we are all talkers. Okay, I took on the Captain Picard. Make it so. Anyway, I wrote that we recommend to the UNNC governing board that it advocate / write a letter to support the construction of the fence as originally designed and potentially identify other funding sources to make that so. And I missed something that you had said, Teresa. But if that's good enough. You're saying no?
No, I'm saying yes. I don't remember what you meant, what I said that may have been missed, but I made the motion, so we need a second and then discussion.
Second, do I have a second?
I
second.
this.
No, Denise got in before Donna.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion? No. Okay, we've discussed it out. So let's take a vote. To vote in favor, either raise your real hand or raise your virtual hand, please. And okay, and then Judy and Linda, you are able to vote if you wish. Okay, I'm seeing that. Is there any opposition? Yeah, we have, those of us with our hands up need to lower our hands. And then tell me if there's any opposition to this. Okay, I'm hearing none. Teresa, what do we do with this? The staff wouldn't normally vote, so does the motion pass?
Yes, because I don't think Chenery and Arian are allowed to vote.
That is correct.
And Judy and Linda have chosen not to vote. So we have 4.
4 yes, 2 whatever, 2
Yeah.
abstain. Okay, so motion passes. And thank you. So the next item on the agenda is updates and highlights from the Recreation and Parks Department staff. So I don't know, Arian, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So South Beach House, we're still, we've been, for sports anyway, we've been extended to February 7th in terms of doing indoor sports and high risk sports. So we are waiting for our department in that regard to give us the go ahead. But we still have our other programs that are running. I have a job order in currently. I saw that there's, and I'm sure you guys have all saw as well, that there's some graffiti on the bathrooms in Benny Potter Park. I did put in a job order for that, so they should be out sometime. Hopefully, they should be out this week to get that painted out. As I'm sure all you guys, if anyone who lives in the neighborhood has seen it. So they should be out sometime this week to come paint it, hopefully.
Do we have a status report on the cameras?
So I
And
can't
Donna
really
has
answer
her
that
hand up as
question.
well.
I can't really answer that question. Someone else might be able to give some more information.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go after Donna.
Henry, why don't you go before me? I saw your
Oh, okay.
message. And I
Okay, yes.
basically would like to say, I don't know what's going on with them.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm very frustrated and I'm going to go to Mary Jones at the 10. I don't,
Okay,
we've already
yes.
played the
Okay.
game too long for us to
I
go
know.
back
So
to
yeah, I
square one. So
Mhm.
that's what we'll talk about tomorrow.
Okay, well,
Okay, yeah.
Shinri was gonna answer something.
Well, no, it was just basically about the cameras for our department. I went, spoke to our planning and construction branch, and they said that we would basically, we would have to use a city, or you would have to use a city vendor to install cameras at the Isidore House. But also what I found out today that money would have to be provided for the internet connection. Because you need the
So
internet
this
connection
is a
to view the
problem.
cameras.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt.
Sure, go
So,
ahead.
so you noting that the money, the check has already been issued for the cameras, and I'm not gonna go into detail on that, based on an agreement that that was okay. So how is it not okay now? And the money's gone from us.
The money's gone to the security, to the camera company?
No, well, I don't
Oh.
know if the money has already gone to the cameras, but it's
Okay.
already gone to the nonprofit that will be paying for the cameras.
For the cameras, okay. Yeah, I would
So
just ask who initially gave a permission for,
Sharon, now I'm asking a question. Donna, you've probably been working
We
on
were
this.
given the information, they were not interested in doing it, and you should work it out for yourself. As the
Okay.
cameras in the main park were worked out. Laura
Okay.
can raise her hand on that. We
okay,
got cameras in the main park and annex through UNNC.
mhm,
A vendor was decided upon and it was taken care of and has been maintained up until the fact the annex isn't working. That was how many years ago, Laura?
Oh,
And the
I don't
city
know,
did
many,
not step
yeah,
in
many,
on
many
that.
years ago.
And the
Okay.
city refused and the park refused. We got the same message this time. And we
okay,
went
okay,
forward.
mhm,
And now they are backpedaling. It's not your fault, but you
okay,
must understand.
yes,
We
yes,
had
yes,
cameras installed in 2 different sections. We've done it in the last 10, 15 years. We were told we're not doing Isidore. Figure it out, try to get your own funding. We have no money. We're not gonna do it. And they said, go ahead. And I spoke with Sharon. I reached out,
mhm,
asked them to reach out to the departments, and we were told, go ahead.
Well, it
okay,
was more than that, Donna, weren't you,
Yes.
wasn't Sharon participatory
Yes,
in the meetings with the vendor and everybody else? We need one camera here, we need one there. I mean, I wasn't there, but I mean, this was not just sort of random.
yeah, it
mhm,
was all, and it was above board. We wouldn't
Mhm.
dare do it, Shinnery,
right.
you know
Oh, no, I
that.
understand, yes.
We
Mhm.
wouldn't dare do that.
Right.
We wouldn't make ourselves look like fools. I feel like one now though, because
No,
I
no, no,
listened. And we did cameras before under these same circumstances.
mhm,
And UNNC board can tell you, those cameras that are existing in the main park and in the annex are a result of this same situation. We're not doing it, figure it out, community, and come up with a plan. And a city entity paid for it,
okay,
UNNC.
Right. Teresa?
Thank you, Laura. Shinnery, can you please
Mhm.
put the contact person in the chat that has made the decision that we are unable to use this vendor? This kind of goes back to what I was saying before. When a project happens in the UNNC footprint, there needs to be a person who's in charge of that project, who works with the recreation, who works with UFD, who works with all the other entities that are involved in it. So these kind of things don't happen. So
right,
if you please put that whoever that person is, because I would contact Sharon, but I'd like to get an update on Sharon because I understand she's not with us, or she's
Yes.
been moved to another department. But I need to follow up with somebody, find out what's going on, and make sure we all understand what we need to do so we can get these cameras up. If you could.
Well,
either-
there's no one actually assigned to this yet.
But
I'm
how-
trying to move it forward, but they're saying that we have to go, or you,
Who's they?
neighbor-
Who-
Planning
I'm not
Construction
trying to give you a hard
Division.
time. Can you just tell me?
our planning and construction division. So I was told today you have to use a city vendor. They're not going to allow, they want all the cameras, from what I was told, to be purchased from throughout the city in our parks. They want all the cameras to be purchased from the same company.
Okay, so the money didn't go to the vendor. The money went, I mean, it's very complicated, because we're also a city agent entity. We
Mhm.
have city funding.
Right.
And initially we were doing this as a quote community improvement project.
Mhm.
And it would have been that we paid the vendor, meaning United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council paid the vendor. And then the city clerk wanted it to be instead that we give money to a nonprofit and to in turn pay the vendor. So that's what happened.
Mhm.
And that was weird thing number one. Let me just say that. Because in theory, we should have been able to transfer money to Recreation and Parks for this. If
Mhm.
one reads just the funding manual for neighborhood councils, but that's not what the city clerk wanted us to do. So the money has gone to the nonprofit. The nonprofit could in turn pay the city the city's own vendor, but it would really have to be in that same price range. And if it was any higher, then one would also question why the city is paying
Right.
higher rates.
Right.
So in other words, this is not
Mhm.
really about the particular person, but it is about the efficiency of getting it done, because what you may
Correct.
not be aware of is that it's not just that there were ongoing issues where people were kind of like breaking in a window or breaking in a door. There were people who were tunneling from underneath the house and up through closets, through the flooring to get in that house.
Mhm. Yeah. Sharon
So,
told me.
and that's bad. And we're facing a situation where that could burn down the house, for example. I mean, not
Mhm.
that anyone would burn on purpose, but it's cold in the winter, even
Yes.
if you're in a house. So the price is the price at this point.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone cares if the check or credit card payment is to a different vendor, one that's on the city list, so long as they can perform the same function and get the same number of cameras as
At the same
designed
cost. Mhm.
at the cost. And if it's a
Right.
lower cost, a lower cost. But the other thing you should be aware of, on the South Seas House itself, and we would assume the same thing going forward on Isidore House, the two houses, there's a lot of stuff in the South Seas House that the same community nonprofit, frankly, funneling money through it, paid for, not limited to, for example, the linoleum floor and the stencils on the, in the paint, and the
Mhm.
original carpeting, which I know has been replaced maybe twice by now, but they paid, the community paid for round one and round two of the carpeting. So
Mhm.
it is not unusual at these historic home situations where it isn't a city vendor that's providing the service or material. So I'm not sure why suddenly that's become a problem.
And the fact they say one thing and then change it.
Right.
It's, I am too up to here. Everybody changes the job or changes the person, and then they go in another direction.
Right.
And
Right.
they have no interest right now. The internet in that house, the computers in that house should be upgraded and taken care of. Our community cares about South Seas.
Now you're talking about the computers in South Seas House.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, but I
Right
was going to
now,
say
and the
the-
internet is outrageous. But and the city
are you
can
saying
take care of
outrageously
that.
bad?
Yes.
Outrageously bad in the house. Well, yeah, that's a whole different issue, but I am pretty sure that
These are the people we trust to get it done.
no, that's not what I was going to say. internet has to be provided by a provider. I mean, the city is not an internet provider. And internet is installed by the provider, not by the city. So that would be an exception to the whatever rule they have. But what I was going to say is it's not impossible to envision a situation where an upgraded higher speed internet connection, is installed that covers both houses with a, whatever that's called, a mesh network that goes to both houses. It's not that's the easiest part of this conversation. And we should not be told that any version of we needs to provide the internet for the cameras, because the good internet for the South Seas house would cover the cameras at Isidore. Anyway, so it's just a good internet connection. So anyway, this does need to be resolved. And the reason is that the actual check for a lot of money has been written by the city and paid. I mean, the check is in a bank account waiting to be spent. And it can't go back to the city. That it doesn't work that way.
Understood. Mhm.
Teresa?
Thank you, Laura. So Shinnery, what is the next step here? What is required of us?
I mean, are you guys okay with the city using its vendor to go out and provide a quote to you all?
Well,
Could it be that the vendor that was selected, that this person was selected before I got on the board, let me just say that. Could
Yeah,
it be that that person is already on the city vendor list?
I can check tomorrow. Yes, I can check.
and when we say
I will
city
definitely
vendor
check.
list, we mean anybody in the city, not just Rec and Parks.
It will be, through the city of Los Angeles, like a contracted vendor.
Well,
So they would most likely have a contract through our
maybe,
GSD system.
yeah, maybe they do,
But
and
I would
maybe
have
they
to
don't.
follow up. Yeah, but I can follow up and check.
Uh-huh.
That's I don't have a
Can
problem
I
with that.
say my gut reaction is that they aren't, and because I think that's what moved this to an MPG in the first place. That if they had been
Oh,
on the
okay.
vendor list, it might have been we could have just done a community improvement project with
Oh,
them as a vendor. That's my gut, but please check. Just please check.
okay. Yes, I have Donna provided me, or Arian provided me with the name, so I can definitely check tomorrow.
Right. So,
But if
And if
he's
they're
not
not,
on the list,
yeah.
what do you want me to do? Is it
well,
okay to go
again,
and?
here's what I don't know. But Donna would, or Cordell would, who's not here tonight.
Okay.
There's a schematic. I believe it's either the person who designed the system is the vendor himself or itself designed a system, but there is a schematic that then leads to you need this many cameras and this is their cost, right?
And
So
the locations and all that.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, and I have no idea of what the details are, but I would imagine the vendor would be totally pissed off if other people are bidding against his schematic, but be that as it may, that would be what
Right.
we need a bid on. And then if it really is a lot more money, you do know the city controller can step in and make a decision on it anyway, because I think that our controller doesn't want us spending extra money just because.
Mm-hmm.
So if Donna or whoever has it can provide the schematic to you, and if you would also check and see if the particular vendor could be on the city list.
Yes, I can
If
check.
that solves the problem.
Yeah, well, that's what I would like first, Laura, to find out. Ms. Shinnery could find out if this vendor is on the list, because it is
Months and months.
and also to get some information from Cordell on this whole thing. It's better to have to use a vendor that did all the work. I mean, who went in, spent a lot of time with Cordell evaluating the building,
Designed it.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that's not my decision, but I will definitely tomorrow morning look up the vendor in the system.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I will absolutely. That's easy, just looking them up. Yes.
right. Because
Donna,
what
should I
none
get in
of us
touch?
want to be is in a position of, none of us, not Recreation and Parks, not UNNC, want to be in a position of needing to explain to the city controller or anybody who's looking why city money gets spent with a nonprofit that cannot be in turn put into the actual thing it was spent for. So
Right.
again,
I
it's not
understand.
refundable. It wouldn't come back to us, would not go to recreation and parks. It would just go, you know, if the money comes back, it goes into the general fund, never to be seen for camera. So that is not an option.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, okay.
They knew the camera, there was a camera system needed at Isidore. They
Mhm.
knew that the internet needs to be upgraded in order to even handle the camera systems that they have there. They've been asked over the years to do something about the security. And all the
Right.
people that we're supposed to reach out to now
Mhm.
said they weren't interested, Chanel. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I will definitely follow up tomorrow.
And
Okay.
you know, my hands are, you just know where I am right now,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so.
okay.
I was told that they wouldn't do it. Go ahead and deal with your outside vendors. They didn't do the main park or the annex, so I wasn't surprised.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They said the same thing before.
Mhm. Mhm.
So they're,
Right.
I don't even know, I really don't. I just want to speak to Mary because we have been thrown in, just thrown in the hot sauce.
Mhm.
And it makes me look extremely stupid to go forward on something when, you know, if this was gonna be their game, then the game should have been played early on, because that needs to be taken care of. And let them
Right.
do it.
Okay.
So Donna,
Um,
I'll look up the vendor and get in touch with you tomorrow. Is that okay?
You can always get in touch with me.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
don't know whether I'm going any further on this.
Okay.
Well,
I
well,
understand.
we have to go further because that we've got that money out there in the world. So, I mean, somehow or another, we need to go further. But
Shinnery, when you do that, can you
Yes.
also include Laura or me, but we don't know each other, but if you could include Laura on that email,
Sure. I just
then
need a Laura's email address. That's
I think she'll put it in the
I
chat.
will.
okay.
And-
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
because I would
you.
hate to lose this money. I mean, I'd be so upset if we lost this and still not have cameras. So
Mhm.
it would be a double whammy if that happened.
Well, let me
Okay.
just say,
Yes.
the South Seas House, Isidore, won't lose the money, but if we can't spend it on the cameras, we have a bad report to be giving back to the city clerk. Meaning
And we're
it
not
may end
going
up
to
being used
lose,
for some other purpose in the same location, but that's troubling as well. You
and
know,
we're not gonna lose the money, Teresa, I can assure you that.
Thank
The
you,
money
Donna.
is sitting, it should have been done. This, what they said should have been dealt with, but now we're sitting because all of a sudden someone else changed their mind, decided
Right.
they wanted to do something. If they wanted to do it, that was an option way back when.
right,
And we're sitting here in our community with an unprotected house
right,
and South Seas that needs help. In order for us to even get the graffiti painted out, it takes a week.
right.
LACC has lunch in that park every day. I've reached out to Mary in the 10 to ask her to get the graffiti taken off. We're not going to keep doing this. This needs to
James,
stop.
my husband James did a
Recreation
job
and
in there
Parks
too.
needs to come, and it's not you I'm talking to, but
Mhm.
I need to know who is putting us in this position, who is in charge, who is doing this, and I'm gonna find out. I'll talk to Kimani tomorrow. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna let this kid continue, and I'm sorry, you guys, I'm really angry.
Right. Okay. But
Hold on.
I don't think that changes tonight's outcome. You know, I mean, we should all be really angry, but it won't, you know, let's take a breath for tonight. Teresa?
Thank you, Laura. I just want you, the participants, to know, and Arian also, that James, my husband James, did a jog around, as he does, around the park, and he took some photos of the graffiti and sent them in the 311. But my question is, who, Shinnery, I'm not sure if you can answer this. Who is the new Sharon? Who is our new Sharon? Because
There's new Sharon, the Central District Supervisor is Elaine Paya. I can make sure she attends your next meeting.
Okay,
yes, that would
So
be
she just
great.
started, she took over the Central this week.
okay.
Okay. Can
So,
you tell me, just a second, Laura, can you
Mhm.
tell me, Sherry, is she a new employee to Recs and Parks, or has she?
No,
is she-
she's not a new employee. We just moved some supervisors around. So
Okay.
she actually oversaw our Class Parks team program citywide. So she's not new. She's been with the city over 15 years.
Oh, okay, that's
So
great.
yes, she's not new.
Can you put her email in the chat?
Sure.
So, and I was gonna say our next meeting would be Monday, February 28th.
Okay, I'll write it down.
But also, Laura, maybe we can
Mhm.
invite her to come to the board meeting.
Mhm.
Because we do have government officials. We have a slot for government
Sure.
officials to come in, and maybe she can introduce herself and let us, maybe we can invite her to come and get an update. But Shinnery, just so you know, I
Yes.
had Sharon's personal phone number, and I would text her if, when there was graffiti, it hadn't been cleared up in a day or so, I would text her and she would make sure that someone came out. So
Mhm.
I'm looking for that same kind of interaction with whoever the new supervisor is. We shouldn't have to tolerate graffiti for a week. We have a gang problem. I don't know if you're aware of this. We've got 4 gangs vying for control of our area. And if one tags and then another tags and another tags and it's not cleared up, it's just an increasing graffiti. So it needs to be removed immediately, or as soon as it's as soon as somebody in the community notices it. And putting it in 311 is not, you just don't get the expediency, you don't get a crew out here to clean it up soon enough. So Donna's been working with Mary Jones to, put the fire on somebody to come out and clean it up. But what really worked for me was having Sharon's number, sending that text to Sharon to let her know that there was something there, and she would get a crew out. So we need to have that same kind of commitment from.
Yeah, Elaine can do that. Sharon reached out to me last week. So I did contact the supervisor of the painters just to let him know. I put South Seas, Benny Potter on the list, and also 3 other parks in East LA. So I just let him know there would be the 4 parks were being heavily hit with graffiti. So if they could kind of constantly go out every few days to remove the graffiti.
All right, I appreciate
But I'll
that.
send him
Thank you so
another
much.
reminder email tonight to let him know I attended this meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very
The other
much.
thing is, we have within our footprint 4 parks. We have this one, and then Leslie Shaw, and then 2 pocket parks, the one under construction that we were talking about tonight, and then the pocket park at Normandy and Cordova, I think it is. And then in addition to that, I kind of take a broader look, in terms of influence, with parks our resident stakeholders utilize. We also utilize quite a bit the Normandy Recreation Center, Lauren Miller Park, and Queen Anne. So we've never gotten a real clear list of who's in charge of what park. So if I may email you tomorrow, if we could get that, because I think somebody finally figured out who's in charge of Leslie Shaw, and then that person was unaware of it. I mean, Donna could probably tell you.
The Queen Anne and Normandy will fall under Elaine because they were at Sharon Parks, those 2.
Okay.
Then Laura Miller is part of our Pacific region. So yes, I can definitely provide you with that information.
Because what we see is, neighborhood council boundaries are not how people decide where to take the stroller and their kids for a park, right? Or where to send their teenagers to play softball. They're not caring about what the neighborhood council boundary or the council district boundary is, for that matter. They're looking at the programs, as you know.
Yes.
So, okay. Are there any other updates for, now that I told you all the parks? So we've got part of it. Elaine is in charge of some of the other parks. But are there any
Yeah.
other updates for our nearby parks? I mean, for example, are they open or not open at this point?
The
in-
parks are open, and as Marion mentioned, that we have postponed our winter basketball programs in addition to other programs such as cheer, judo. So the high contact sports and activities we've postponed until February 7th. At that time, the department will take another look and meet with Department of Public Health to see if we can move forward with our basketball leagues or not. So we're kind of in a holding pattern, but we still have the preschool, after school programs and the other activities that are not high contact. So the centers are still offering those programs at this time.
And
We
how
have
is
had-
staffing going?
Staffing is okay. We have a lot of staff that are out due to COVID. So this past, after January 1st, we've been hit really hard with staff being out due to COVID. So I'm hoping that the next couple of weeks, things will get better for us. But
Yeah.
like a lot of our staff have been out.
Right. Well, I asked because some of us got an email today from the county assessor saying they just had to close their public offices because they have no staff.
Yes. Right. Yeah, we've been hit really hard. Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have questions for the department staff? Okay. Any other updates from staff?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda would simply be if there's any old business or follow-up to previous items. And I'll be honest, since I'm not actually the chair of this committee, I'm not tracking our old business. So I don't know if there are any updates. Donna and okay, so I think that item doesn't happen, and therefore we can be adjourned. Is that okay with everybody?
Good.
Yep. Okay. We are adjourned at 7:32, and I will hear my sigh, listen to the recording and prepare some minutes. Okay, thank you all. And goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you for taking it on.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Good night,
Have a
everybody.
Have a good
Have a good
evening.
evening.
Good night. Good night,
Good
Ariel.
night,
Bye,
everyone.
Donna.
Oh, if you want to save, if you want to save these contacts in the chat, you can click on chat and then click on the 3 dots and hit save chat. And if you missed it, email me and I'll send you the chat. Okay, good night.
Okay. All right. Good night, Laura.